Okay, so recording started. Okay, so hello guys. So yeah, we are Grasp. So we are the CodeChef campus chapter at IIT Gandhinagar. So we are a group of people who love doing competitive programming and participating in such contests like when you have seen, and also love to organize such contests and workshops. So yeah, it's a great chance we didn't get to meet you guys, but yeah. So yeah, let us not delay and start with the observing session. So Shiva, can take over.
Maybe you can continue.
Yeah, fine. So, hello. Yeah. So, Shyam, can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, before we start, we had given a bonus for this question. We had also asked you guys. There is one straightforward way, and there is one way when you can make a smart observation and solve it. So, if any of you would like to say what it is, the straightforward way is counting the ones and zeros, and whoever gets the 11 ones first wins. But then there is another smarter way. I mean, there's another way basically. Do I need to?
सम ले लो सम करके अगर
Yeah, something.
सम भी बट मतलब सम तो वही हो गया ना कि जीरो और वन का मतलब हाँ वंस वंस
हाँ
का
एक
सम
टाइप से
करोगी
वही।
वो भी अच्छा
वन
है।
सा सम
हाँ वो
n
भी
by 2 से
हाँ अच्छा सो बट एक मतलब सपोज तुम्हें कुछ स्टोर नहीं करना है मतलब तुमने अरे यूज़ किया होगा ना स्टोर करने के लिए तो तुम मतलब हाँ सम ही कर सकते हो बट ठीक है मैं बता देता हूँ दूसरा सपोज ऐसे गेम है और हमने दिया है कि वी हैव गिवन यू गाइस दैट एट द एंड ऑफ द गेम दैट देयर इज गोइंग टू बी अ विनर. So what does that mean? When the game only ends, the game doesn't end when the losing player scores. The game ends when the winning player scores. So you just have to check who was winning and then just print the guy who scored the last point. Yeah, that was like the second approach. The first one is yeah, what you have said. You can keep two counters. You can also have some and greater than half. But yeah, this was the second approach. So maybe just something. If you may give these contests and wonder how people do it in like 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So there may be some solutions like this. Yeah, this was only for that. So Shivam will do the second question now.
sir I had out.
Yeah, yeah.
So in this question, if like we have given n is equals to 11 and then it's like 111 for 10 times and then it's 0.
Yeah. So the game won't be over, no. So we have said that so the game will still go on. So there'll still be either as one or a zero. When does the game end? The game ends when there is definitively one of them who has scored 11 points. Okay, the game doesn't go
Oh,
on
okay.
for 11. Yeah.
Bhaiya, I have one doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, I used for I in range uh, t or range length of t. So is it correct or that we have to use that while t?
No, you can use for iron range length of t. So for t
Uh,
is test cases.
okay, and I was getting EOF error, end of file error.
It was
And
So it
ID
may be
Yeah,
because your input format was wrong, like you put in the input.
Okay.
we were told that you guys did these input and all these things in your basic computing course, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
just get
I
computer.
think some people face problems in the ID, CodeChef ID. They were facing some
Oh, okay.
end of file error or something if they entered the code in the ID. So maybe we'll have to check if like how or why did that occur. But yeah, but those who didn't use that ID,
Oh,
they
okay,
were
okay,
fine.
okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I was using ID.
okay.
Okay, okay. And
should I ask one question? I have one doubt in that first one.
yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Um, means how to check that who has got the first 11 points? That was my doubt, else it was fine.
First 11. So you know for sure that only one of the players has got 11 points because
Yes.
yeah. So so there's no first 11, right? There's only one 11.
No, if ever it's like we have 22 inputs and means.
No, you won't have 22 inputs. The game will never
Oh,
go on
sorry,
till
range
22
was
rounds.
21. Oh, got it, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Any more doubt?
Yes.
Yeah. Should we move on? Or?
Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, just to clarify for you all, when Amay and Shivam are explaining, if any at any point you have any doubt, or after the questions, like after they've explained something, if you have any doubt, you can ask. It's fine. Like you don't have to be very uptight about it. Like yeah, people are asking. Okay, so before moving on to the solution of the next question, we'll wait for a little while for you to ask your doubt either manually or maybe through the chat. Yeah, Shivam, you can move on.
Okay. Yeah.
We have one last doubt. If there are even number of inputs, then the game will be means no one will win the game. So this that case is not included in problem.
Even number. So, well, both of them could have gotten an odd number of points. So one 11 and the other one gets say 5. The total input is even in that case. Yeah.
And for example, if
No, I
both
didn't
get
get what you
6
wanted to say.
points,
Yeah, sure. Both get?
6 and 6 points.
No, right. So we have mentioned that the game gets over. So if both of them are 6 and 6 points, then they won't stop playing. They'll continue till either of them gets to 11.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Basically, you are given an entire game, right?
Hmm.
You are given complete game. You are never given a partial game where there might be cases like the game has not yet finished or something. Anytime one player hits 11 points, the game ends, and that is the input that you get.
Yeah, so here one is describing that the person has won one set. Na?
AI equals 0. No, so one is describing that this second player, Tanya, has won a game.
Yeah, yeah. So Sanya won the whole set or that
No,
one
rally. That rally. So badminton, like the way we have said it is like 11 points, and so every rally will count as 1 point.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe. Yeah. Fine. If you had that confusion, then yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah,
Thank
that
you.
wasn't what we were asking. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I'll move on. Coming on to the next question, add a fourth line segment. Yeah. So does anyone want to volunteer or like share their approach? Or I'll anyways do it. So
Yeah.
sure. I'll continue. So so there are there are 3 observations basically. So the first observation is that there is no point in adding a line segment greater than the max of ABC. So first of all, if you read the question correctly, you'll know that if we have we basically have ABC 3 line segments, and we add another line segment. Let's call it D. Now what we do is we basically place these line segments in parallel. So for example, if I chose A and D in parallel and B and C in parallel, we basically get a length. So let's say that these A and D are placed vertically. So the breadth of the rectangle would be the minimum of A and D, and similarly the length would be the minimum of B and C. Yeah. So this is the first thing that you should know. And yeah, so the first observation should be clear that there is no point in adding a line segment greater than this, because if you do, then you'll be taking the minimum of the D and one of these 3 segments. So yeah, so this should be clear. The second observation is that the smallest line segment will be the smallest side of the rectangle. Yeah, again, that you will be taking the minimum. So if you take minimum of the, so if D, basically if if you take minimum of, let's call it X and D, and X is the minimum side of the segment, like minimum of the segments, then you'll get X, considering D would be greater than X. And yeah, and finally the fourth line segment will have length equal to A or B or C. Again, this is sort of, I wrote it here without without an explicit proof, but it should be easy to see that why this happens. Yeah, and to be honest, will not be in competitive programming. You should know that a lot of things should come up as intuition, and you should not be proving everything you see, because you don't really have time and you need to do things fast. So yeah, this is one of the observation, and you can easily prove this. So yeah, and after doing this, after considering these three observations, basically we know that the answer line segment would be among A, B, C. So we can just see the cases. So yeah, case one, when D is equal to A, then the area would be this, A into B. And similarly, we can calculate all the three cases. And yeah, so basically, so this should be enough to code this up. Yeah. So if anyone has doubts, ask right now.
I mean, I'm pretty sure most of you must have just written max of A, comma B, comma C as your first answer. I mean, no, yeah, most of you must have done that and gotten it as wrong, and then yeah, introspected. So the trick is that there's actually no use in having a very big line. If B and C are the same, then there's no point of having D as big as C. Then the area is fixed. You just have to minimize the length. That's the trick.
Actually, I didn't get the point why we need to take the maximum length of segment for answer. Means, could you please just highlight on this point?
Which point? Are you talking about these 3 points?
Yeah.
Which one exactly?
Actually, means I did not get the taste of the question, like how to solve, how to approach. Means.
Okay. I'll go to the question once again. So you got this test case, right? You understood this 5, 4, 2, and why we add this answer segment 5 to get a area of 10 here.
Yes. That I got.
And you also know why any other thing wouldn't work. Like if we took a line segment of 6, like if we took a line segment of length 6, then also we would have gotten the same area. And,
yes.
So is the first point clear?
Yeah, first point I got it clear. Yeah, that 5 should be there such that we would get a maximum area, that is 10.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the second point then. The smallest line segment will be the smallest side of the rectangle.
Okay.
So yeah, again in this example, let's suppose I wrote it here without like specifying that. Yeah, if we consider D to be the answer line segment to be lesser than the smallest line segment, like for example in this test case, if I just chose 1 as the answer segment, then obviously the side would be 1, the minimum side would be 1, but technically it's there's no point in having that as the answer, because you can that would just decrease the area. That cannot be the answer basically.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
The second observation is also pretty clear, I feel.
Yes. No.
And and you understood the third one?
Yeah, last one. Third one I didn't get.
Okay, so basically, let's assume that D is greater than A and lesser than B. Also, like I'm also considering that A, B, C are in this order. So like A is the smallest one, B is the middle one, and C is the greatest one. It's just to ease out the proof and all. Okay, so so let's suppose that D is in the is in between A and B. So
Okay.
like okay, like we can choose. Like, let's choose one of these A, B, C as the line segment that goes in parallel with D.
Okay.
So let's choose A first. Is it fine? D and A.
Yes.
So what would be the minimum of D and A? A, right? A is the minimum
Yes.
segment. Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me. Are you coding somewhere, or means you're just saying to me? I'm not getting.
What?
Means, are you sharing your screen?
Yeah, he's sharing the screen. Yeah,
Yeah.
he may have pinned someone else.
Oh,
Just no, not you, Shivam. I think he. Just
okay.
check. You should be able
Oh,
to see
okay,
the
okay.
screen.
Sorry. It
Yeah,
got
yeah,
pinned by mistake. Okay.
yeah,
Thanks.
No
Okay.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that you can check all these, like if the minimum of D and A would give you A, right? So there
Okay.
is no point in choosing D to be greater than A, because the minimum of D on A would give A again. So similarly, if you take minimum of D and B, you'll get D. But technically, the area of the rectangle can be increased by placing D to be equal to B. Like this should we can increase D to B, and you can get the minimum of D comma B as like B, so which will increase the area.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think if you think about it, it will become more clear. And yeah,
Okay. Okay. I
you
will
can take a
think
look.
over it.
Uh,
If I would have doubt, then where should I ask? Means
you can ask any one of us, WhatsApp or mail.
after this meeting. Okay. WhatsApp. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'll share there's a WhatsApp group. I'll share the link
Okay.
in an email. Yeah, you can ask in that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Hmm. Okay.
You can maybe put it here also, no? Once.
Yeah, I'll do that now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is there anyone who wants to share how they solved it? Because we have done like we have gotten everything in a list and then sorted that, done things like that. So you can even do some brute force thing. Just assume it matches A, assume it matches B, assume it matches C, then find the minimum. Yeah, because there is no time. So in this contest, you didn't have to focus on the time constraints. We had given those constraints, so they were manageable. Okay, I guess if there's nothing, no one else, then we can move on to the third.
Yeah, sure. Subtraction game. Okay, so this was a relatively easy problem compared to the line segment, I feel. But yeah. So again, I'll ask anyone to share their approach. It's pretty straightforward, I feel.
Yeah, but we got some good innovative, like nice ways you guys did it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'll share my approach first, then we'll see.
Yeah.
So there are two observations here. So the number of rounds a person survives is equal to their initial points. That is obvious because after every round, a person loses 1 point. So yeah, so he can survive for the number of the number of rounds which are equal to its initial points. So yeah, this is the first observation. The second one is that if two people have the same number of points, then the one who is farther back in the line, or the one who gets his chance later on in the game, in the round, will survive longer. Yeah, I mean, these 2 points should be enough to solve this problem. So yeah, so the code is pretty simple too. So we just keep track of the winner and runner up and like update them using these conditions.
So one more thing you guys can do is after contest, you can have a look at other people's solution. So I can tell you, like I was having a look at one of your solutions. So it was pretty good in the sense that what that person did is we were discussing. So he reversed the list, then found out the max because you had to find the last maximum. So he reversed it and found the first maximum. Then he made that -1, and then he found the second maximum. That was pretty cool. Yeah. So I mean, those things you can have a look at other people's solutions after the contest, of course.
Any doubts? Okay. If not, I'll continue.
Yeah. The next,
Hmm.
which one should we do? Sorting
Yeah.
names or cars?
Let's do sorting names.
Yeah,
Not
because
Hmm.
yeah.
So, Ame.
Yeah. So for this um so this one is actually interesting because the way we have explained it, it's slightly different from the way I guess whose ever solution I've seen, you guys have done it slightly differently, which is not only perfectly fine, but it's even better. Like it's great because because your solutions they worked and then they weren't very big. But anyway, I'll explain the theory and then you'll understand what this problem really is. So I'll just start with asking you this question: that how many swaps would this thing 2, 3, 4, 1 take to be sorted? You can see these arrows. This says 2 wants to be at 3's position, 3 wants to be at 4's, and so on. So can any of you like quickly say how many swaps would it require?
3.
3.
Yeah. That's correct. Yeah, thanks. So it takes 3 swaps, and now then there are a few observations we'd like to make. So suppose you have a cycle structure. Um, yeah. So there are 2 different operations you can do. So suppose that this is what this represents is that 1 wants to be where 2 is, 2 wants to be where 3 is, and so on, and 5 and 6 are at each other's place. So 1 is in 4's place, 2 is in 1's place, etc. So what we can do is if we exchange 4 and 5, okay, if we swap 4 and 5, that's a merge operation. So that actually increases, that makes the cycle bigger. So just imagine something like 3 wants to be at 4's place. Okay, can you just scroll up, Sharon, slightly up? 3 wants to be at 4's place and 4 wants to be at 1's place. But what we do is we swap 4 and 5. So now 3 wants to be at the position where 5 is. Now 5 wants to be where 6 is, and so on. So you will see if you just, well, if you use pen and paper a little bit, that this forms a sort of a chain, and everything is pointing to where it wants to be. So 3 is pointing to where it wants to be, and so on. Okay, so this is the merge operation. If you understand it, you will understand it properly. But if you don't, I'd suggest you do some pen and paper. Okay. Yeah, you can move down, scroll down. And similar to that, the other operation is if we split it. So suppose instead of swapping 4 and 5, we instead swap 3 and 4. So what does this do? So 3 wants to be where 4 is. And if we swap 3 and 4, then 3 will be where it wants to be. 3 will be at its actual position. And then 4 will be where 2 wants to go. And 4 obviously wants to go where 1 is. And that's what we have drawn at the bottom. Okay, so yeah, just try to let these sink in. You can think about it a little. Yeah, you can scroll down, Shivan. So yeah, so this is like slightly mathematical. Obviously, for I'll tell you what you need. What should be ideal where you can stop during a contest and start programming, and that's that's actually before base case and all of that. So you don't need to do all this base case. That's usually after the contest, and then yeah, it's usually after the contest. This is for now. So at this point, what you need to do is minimum number of swaps to sort a cycle of length n is n minus 1. You should be able to observe this. Like if we say it in a hand wavy manner, then why should this happen? Okay, so just imagine. So suppose you have this 1, 2, and 4, or suppose you have a big long chain, and then you swap 2 of the positions. What happens? That one, you can put 1 in its actual position, like one of the elements, but then this makes the cycle length smaller. It makes it smaller by 1. It produces a different cycle. Yeah, I think I can understand that this can be a bit hard to explain. Yeah, so maybe you can have a look at these drawings. Yeah, and Yeah, so the rest is this maths. Okay, base case n equals 1. That means when you have a cycle of length 1, what does a cycle of length 1 mean? Cycle of length 1 means that the element is at the position where it needs to be. Okay, so it doesn't require any swaps. But suppose we have a case size cycle. Okay, if it's big, case sized. Just suppose that suppose like this is how I imagine it. Suppose you're at a party and you're in a round table with every guest wants to be where their clockwise neighbor is, and suppose we just swap the position of two people at the north end and the south end of the table, then what will happen? Yeah, I'd like to ask you guys, what do you think will happen? Yeah, any of you? I'll just repeat it once more because, yeah, I know that this is a bit tougher to understand. So suppose you're at a round table, like a party. Okay, there are chairs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on up to 11. And the first person wants to be where the second person is. Second person wants to be where the third person is, and so on. The n minus 1th person wants to be where the nth person is, nth person wants to be where the first person is. Suppose we swap the position of the first person and say the n by 2th person. Okay, so
Yeah, basically swap in this example,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
swapping 1 and 3, right?
Yeah, 1 and 3. We are swapping 1 and 3. So can you just see what happens? What happens if you swap 1 and 3? Like, do any of you? I guess it'll be good if you get it wrong. We'll be able to improve on it. Like, if any of you can volunteer to give it a try. What happens when we swap 1 and 3? Yeah.
The third person becomes the first and first becomes third.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So when you swap 1 and 3, so 1 points to 2 and 2 points to 1. So you have that small cycle going on there. And 3 and 4, they become like 3 points at 4 and 4 points at 3.
Yes,
Okay,
still
so-
there will be 3 ways to swap, no?
3 ways to swap. Can you?
Like-
Yeah. The answer is 3. Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
So yeah, the answer is 3. There are 3 ways to swap this. What you can see on your screen.
Okay, so okay, got it.
Yeah, we're just explaining, and I think someone typed in the chat. It becomes a continuous chain. Can you elaborate what you mean? Continuous chain. This is a continuous chain, right? Maybe you want to say that you get 2 chains which are smaller in length. Yeah, because if that's what you're saying, yeah, you're absolutely correct. So you get 2 chains of length 2 and 2. And then you just see that there are smaller problems and you can just swap them individually. So one swap to get 2 smaller chains, and then you swap those individually, and then you get your answer. Yeah, again, you can actually skip this for the moment. Inductive case, it will just confuse you probably. I'll suggest this. You should think about this problem, about whatever I've said, and then you'll probably just feel you'll understand what I'm saying. Because this is a very common problem. This is you should be able to understand this problem. Yeah, share this PDF. I think we should be able to share the PDF,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, sure.
On the group as well. We'll share it on the WhatsApp group. Grasp. Yeah. And so the code is will we also share the code with them?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll share the code also.
Yeah, but
This is the code that we have written. It's like it's just exactly what we have told. We have implemented it in that way. So if something has not been visited, I'll just explain it briefly. If something has not been visited, then you go and you try to finish its cycle. So you can see that if something is on line number 7, if something is visited, don't do anything, continue. If something isn't visited, then you do all this. And everything from line 9 to 17 is just what I said. You take an individual cycle and then sort it. And obviously, cycles that are independent from each other, you don't have to mix them. Yeah, those are the two important things. I think this problem, yeah, as I said, I should just stop like explaining now, and you should think about it. And if you have doubts, feel free to approach us. But you should think about this problem if you didn't get it. And yeah, some of you
Yeah.
have written a different solution, so that's also pretty cool.
Yeah, even those who have got this right, I think if you haven't thought about this in this way, you should have a look at it. I mean, I'm not sure how you guys did it, but if
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
if you thought of like if you thought all this through, then it's good. But if not, like yeah, just
No,
give
yeah,
it a
yeah,
thought.
I can just like I'll just say it in 1 or 2 lines, like how these guys have done it. It's also pretty good. It's that they have tried to find the next point, like where it should. So the next element which should have been in its place, then they have swapped the two. So it's actually, if you think about it, what they've done is essentially this. They have broken down cycles instead of. So this is important. Instead of merging cycles, you have to break those cycles down, and that's exactly what they have done. It's obviously a different way, and if it works, then yeah, it works. That's it's comparative programming. Yes. Yeah, I think we should move on. No, we should take some problems, like doubts if you have any, and then otherwise we'll move on. The final problem.
Actually, I used bubble sort, but it said the time exceeded. Means actually, yeah.
Yeah, but then this wasn't bubble sort, right? Okay, so there are two things. So time limit exceeded is, yeah, you if you do competitive, you'll have to get used to it at least at the beginning. So time limit exceeded is you are given only a certain amount of time to do some program. You must have learned bubble sort in your course, Intro to Computing.
No, it wasn't there, but I means
Okay.
I know this already.
Oh, okay. So then you should also know that bubble sort is actually a very slow sorting algorithm. Okay. Without going into the details, yeah, there are some algorithms which are slow and some algorithms which are fast. And competitive programming, it's actually about being able to come up with fast algorithms. Not only being able to type algorithms fast, but being able to do algorithms which run fast. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, you will understand these differences as you give these programs contests more. Yeah.
Okay. Will we get notified for next competition also?
Yeah, you'll get mails. So
Okay.
yeah, this is a good time to talk about the next convex hull. So I think it's going to happen on the 16th. I mean next weekend. You guys should give that as well. Those problems will be of slightly higher level because the entire college will be giving them. It will be open to all. It won't just be open to the first years. So those will be higher level. But yeah, that should be. Yeah, you should see where you stand, like compared to everyone else.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, just remember next week convex. I'll keep an eye out for the mail that comes. Yeah. Anything else?
Should I continue?
Yeah, I think we should continue. It's pretty late. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the final problem is too many cars. This is fairly simple problem compared to the swapping one. So what you're given is a list, is a number of cars, n-1 cars, and there is also a free parking, like a parking slot which is empty. So what you can do is you can take a car which is adjacent to that empty slot and put it in that in that slot, in that empty slot, and you'll get a newly generated empty slot. So I'll show you the possible configurations that can occur in by showing you an example. So in the first like the first configuration is the original configuration, and then what we do is that we put the car 1 into that empty slot. That will generate a slot, empty slot in the place of 1, and then we put the car 2 into that empty slot. So basically we get the second configuration, as you see. And the third configuration is basically is same as the first one, but just seen in a different order. Like, so the fourth one is actually on the top, and like if you see, it's just laterally inverted or something. Yeah. So basically, I wanted to ask, what is common among all three of them? Hmm. So if you get this answer, then you basically solve the question, more or less. Among all these three configurations, what is common?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Zishan got it correct. Like ignoring the zero, it's all the same thing, just a
Oh,
rotation.
yeah.
So just have a look at the chat also. People
Okay,
have.
okay. Okay, sure.
Okay, I'll tell you about the chat. Sure. I'll
Mhm.
monitor the chat. There's something I'll tell you.
Okay. Yeah, I guess Zishan said it. So the basically the relative ordering is the same except the zero. So in the first configuration, you can see there's 1, 2, 5, 4, 3 in the cyclic order. Again, 1, 2, 5, 4, 3, and yeah, 1, 2, 5, 4, 3. So yeah, so whatever. So basically, what we are doing is that we are just moving zero around, and all the other relative configurations remain the same. So yeah, the second question is what happens if you read these configurations in counterclockwise manner? Yeah. So again, this is very straightforward. That whatever configurations you see it just becomes in like inverted. So we said 1, 2, 5, 4, 3 right now. If you view it counterclockwise, then we'll get 1, 3, 4, 5, 2. And yeah, so what the basis of this question is that after that guy uh, changed these orderings and read it counterclockwise in a counterclockwise manner, you can basically just reverse the newly generated configuration and then check if the newly generated configuration and the original one have the same relative ordering, basically. And yeah, that is sufficient to solve this problem. So I'll just quickly go through the code. Yeah, so we basically get the inputs clockwise and anti-clockwise configurations. We reverse the anti-clockwise configuration, and this is basically this snippet of code just checks if if the two configurations are relatively in the same order. And yeah, if so, we print yes, and else no. Uh, huh. So if you guys have any doubts in this, feel free.
Yeah, one more thing. I feel that only 4 of you are able to get this, whereas this one is easier than the last one. And I think that the reason maybe because the problem was maybe a bit too long to read. Yeah, so keep in mind that problem may be long to read, but maybe easy to solve.
Bhaiya, can you show the code once again? Like,
Yeah, this one.
yeah.
Okay. Any specific part that you want to confirm?
No, I just wanted to read. I was not able to read full.
Sure.
Hello, Bhaiya.
Yes.
Bhaiya, in the while section there has to be certain condition, no? You just wrote there while t. I mean there should be certain condition.
Oh, yeah. In the end, I wrote t is equal to t minus
Mm,
1.
No, I
Yes.
think he means that. So no,
What?
I think he means that when t becomes 0, then it
Oh,
actually.
okay.
That's it.
Oh, So yeah, that's um, so this would return true whenever t is greater than 0, and it returns false when t is equal to 0. So this is a syntax. Uh,
So this is specific to Python, like
yeah.
for an if or a while condition, if you put any variable which represents something like a null, maybe an empty list. If you put in a list, so whenever that list becomes empty, it returns false. Otherwise, it evaluates to true. And same thing for a number. So if you put like put like an integer like t, so whenever t is not 0, this will return true, and when t becomes 0, this will return false. So basically, you don't need to write data. It's just some shortcut. It's nothing.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, anything else? Yeah. This problem, any other problem? Maybe you want to say some wrong solution that you wrote, but you think that it will be good if you tell us.
Yeah, I want to understand that the last part of the code of the last question.
With cars?
Yeah,
Okay.
after the OK is equal to true part.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Okay. So you understood why we did this, right? We basically match the index which matches with the clockwise ordering.
Yeah. Okay, I got
Yeah.
it.
You got it now. Okay, I'll just show you an example. So suppose this is the clockwise ordering, and this is what we get after reversing the anti-clockwise list. So what I do here is that I find the index in the anti-clockwise list. I find the index of the first element of clockwise ordering. Like basically, I find the index of 1 in this array in this list 312. So which is basically 1. So
Yeah.
1 occurs at the first index of anti-clockwise list. And when I found this, I just basically traverse both these lists. So basically, the ordering should be same, like 1 1 2 2 3 3. If that occurs, then basically the ordering is correct. You got my point?
Yeah, so you want to make that list as 1, 2, and then the 3 that is in the front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I understood the logic how I should do, but how that code is working to do so.
Okay. Yeah. So you see the statement start is equal to start plus 1 mod n minus 1. This one?
Yeah.
29th line. Yeah. So basically this mod operation allow us to go back to the start. You know what a mod does, right? Mod n minus 1. A mod operator.
Yeah, it will return the reminder.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, so if the start is equal to 1 in the beginning, and if I do this operation, start is equal to start plus 1 mod something, mod n minus 1, it goes to 2, then it goes again to 0, and then 1 to 0. It goes like this, right? So
Yeah.
so initially 1 1 match, then the second index 2 and the anti-clockwise second index match, then the 3 and the 0th index match. So I'm doing something like this. So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
very implementation specific, so
Yes,
it
sir.
might be a little difficult to see, but yeah, it should be pretty obvious if you code this up.
That's essentially when you get 3, right? So when you get 3, basically you have to go back to the start. So 3
Mhm.
modulo 3 over here will give you 0. So that's why we use this
Yeah.
modulo.
Okay. Thank you.
So basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to compare two arrays, and you have to find whether the two arrays are same or not. But the only difference is that you have one of the arrays as rotated. So what do you try to do? So if you are just given two arrays, what would you do? You would compare the first element, you would compare the second element, you would compare the third element, right? Correspondingly of the first and the second one. But now over here, you have a slight shift. So what do you do? Instead of comparing the first and the first, you compare the first and one of the elements. So which element to compare? So that is given by this start, this variable start. Okay, so when you are comparing for the clockwise list, the first element, you are comparing the start index element of the second list. And then from the clockwise list, you move to the second element, you move to the start plus 1th element of the next list, and so on. So this is what is going on. And this modulo we have taken because see, when you are doing the start equals start plus 1, it works fine up till you reach the end of the list. So once you go above that, you will get list index out of range. We don't want that. We want it to wrap around to 0, right? So basically that's why you have to put this modulo n minus 1. So basically your indexing cycles.
Okay, Bhaiya.
Or you could have just put an if statement over here, that if start equals, you put start equals start plus 1, and then you say that if start equals n, basically it has gone outside, you put start equals 0. It's, both are basically the same thing. So Amay, you could write it.
Okay.
Something like this, right? This should work.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anything else that you guys want to ask?
If you want to give us some
Okay,
feedback.
then the session is over. So just stop the recording first.